Hello, we're in Lanark, and I'm in William Wallace's house. Come in for a cup of tea, Ed, said William. Don't mind if I do, William, said I. Of course his house isn't here, it's gone a long time ago, but nevertheless this is where his house used to be. And there are a number of information plaques giving you a bit of information on that exact topic. There are a number of things to see in Lanark. There's Vernals, for example, off the High Street. Narrow things of shoulder width, some with information plaques that will give you a bit of information about what went on in that spot. And just across the road from here, there's also a lovely white church and steeple, on the front of which is a statue of William Wallace. So don't make the mistake that every other tourist makes when they come to Lanark. Don't be a sheep. Don't immediately go to New Lanark and miss the one or two things in Lanark that are worth seeing. I'll show you New Lanark, but I'm also going to show you Lanark.
The Lanark of today can, in places, feel very busy, especially around the High Street. The 18th century church with the statue of William Wallace must struggle to cope with such a vibrational onslaught. The statue has been described as ungainly and by a self-taught artist, but it is well placed, being opposite the site in Castlegate where Wallace once lived. Further down Castlegate is something else of interest. If you cast your eyes aloft to the roof of number 18, you'll see a statue of a dog. In the early 18th century, the occupant of this property had a dispute with a neighbour across the street. When his dog died suddenly, he suspected it may have been poisoned by the neighbour. So he had a statue made to the exact likeness of his dog and placed it on the roof so that it forever looked across the street into the window of his neighbour. Off Lanark's bustling High Street, you'll find narrow closes, or wynds, or vernals, or whatever you may wish to call them. And it is of some interest to explore every nook and cranny of these historic passageways. But it is to New Lanark that we must now go.
Well, we've left the busy, bustling streets of Lanark behind, and we're now heading towards New Lanark. Now, the majority of people who visit Lanark probably don't visit Lanark. They'll instantly go to New Lanark and miss what treats Lanark has in store. You just can't beat a dog on a roof, you know. So I would highly recommend that you visit Lanark, spend a short while there, eat, drink, be merry, and then visit New Lanark. So let's do that.
New Lanark is basically a perfectly preserved 18th century mill village. It is also a World Heritage Site. It was founded by David Dale in 1784 and became something of a social experiment where Robert Owen, mill manager and Dale's son-in-law, organised everything the workers could ever need, from housing to food and drink, schooling and even healthcare. At that time the country was full of dark satanic mills where workers were treated very poorly, so to look after them in this manner was a somewhat revolutionary concept. Of course, New Lanark was not the bed of roses that we might believe. Workers were paid in mill tokens, which could only be exchanged for goods in Owen's village store. And while the quality of the goods was somewhat superior to those in other non-mill-owned stores, workers were nevertheless effectively denied their freedom of choice and essentially forced to buy goods in the mill-owned store. Today, New Lanark offers much for visitors. Everything from mill workers' houses to the old village store, Robert Owen's house, working machinery, and an opportunity to be wheeked back in time in the Annie MacLeod experience. You just can't beat a good experience.
It's quite hard to get away from the sound of water in New Lanark, whether from channels like this or great falls on the River Clyde. It was water that drove the enormous wheels that eventually drove the power looms. And further along the River Clyde, at the Falls of Clyde, we'll see more water. Well, this is the Falls of Clyde, just along the river from New Lanark, and it's worth the walk to get here. At certain times of the year, in particular after heavy rain, the falls can become quite spectacular. Anyway, that was Lanark and New Lanark. Today you've got two for the price of one. I'm Eddie Burns, I hope you've enjoyed them, and I'll see you again.